have at least met me halfway. You could have bought a ticket.
Yes. Brilliant.
Boom, boom.
All right. Good morning, good afternoon, and good day. Welcome to the Digital Download, the longest running weekly business talk show on LinkedIn Live. Each week we talk about the news of the day, business or otherwise, and we often address topics like social selling, social enablement, digital transformation, and change management. Guests and audience participation are a large part of our show and a large part of what separates us from typical TV talk shows. And you are always welcome to be a part of the show. Why not tag a friend and invite them to watch along with us? Go on. We'll wait. All right, while we're waiting, let's go around and introduce everyone. Adam, would you kick us off, please?
Hi, I'm Adam Gray, and I am co-founder of DLA Ignite, and excited to be here on this very special day.
Tim.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. I'm Tim Hughes. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite, and I am just so excited to be here on what is of our 85th episode and
85.
Wow.
Isn't it? When we started this, we were like small and
Yeah. Most podcasts
And now we're
died before the 10th episode, I read recently.
well. There you go,
Interesting, huh?
Linwood.
Hi, my name is Linwood Ross. I'm the founder and CEO of Accelerate, and we're a DLA Ignite partner. We focus on helping people get work done faster and better. And hey, I'm thrilled to be a part of the Digital Download. I haven't been here for every episode, but I have been here since the beginning.
There you go, Alex.
Hello, all. Alex Abbott, founder of Sapiro. We're a B2B sales consultancy, and I am very happy. I'm a happy DLA partner on this happy birthday episode.
There we go. And
you look a
Tracy.
bit like Caesar.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure whether we had to go A or Caesar.
We found this birthday balloon. It says happy 60th birthday, and I just wondered.
Oh, well.
No one's made that milestone yet on this call, have they?
no, but
No.
we could have had an 85th birthday for the show, couldn't we?
Right.
A missed opportunity.
And Tracy.
Hey everybody, I'm Tracy Borison, founder of TLB Coaching and Events, where we're all about optimizing the humans behind your sales and marketing processes. And I thought I had done some awesome decorations until Alex and Linwood came on the show. Now this doesn't look like it's trying very hard.
Oh, it's great. Anything that celebrates. And myself, I'm Rob Durant. I'm the founder of Flywheel Results. We provide support to tech startups in terms of staffing, training, and consulting solutions. And I am also a proud DLA Ignite partner.
Oh, me too. I'm also a proud DLA.
Yes.
Excellent.
So we are now well into our third season. And as mentioned, this is our 85th episode. We wanted to take today to celebrate our status as the longest running weekly business talk show on LinkedIn Live.
Yay.
Now, first, as Simon Sinek says, let's start with why. Why did we start this? DLA Ignite and its proud partner organizations have always tried to lead the way for companies to learn about social selling, digital transformation, and social enablement. As part of that leadership, we believe it is important for us to understand the tools and techniques. A former colleague and one of the driving forces behind the Digital Download's early days, Eric Doyle, put it best when he said, let me get this right.
All right, so a book.
Yes, right from the book. It's in print. Live streaming is a way to connect with an audience directly. It allows audiences to interact directly. It could be a place where people can feel they belong. It could be a place where people can feel safe to express themselves. It could be a place where people can really see and understand other people. It could mean a new way to network. Page 71, if you're following along at home, in Social Selling, Techniques to Influence Buyers and Changemakers,
Where can you get a copy
second
of that?
edition. All of your better booksellers have this, as well as Amazon.com. And I've heard of the author before as well.
Oh yeah,
All right, yeah. End of shameless plug. So when Clubhouse launched, we thought it would be good for us to experience and experiment with social audio. It was a great experience until it wasn't. But we learned a lot, both good and bad, about building an audience and building community in the process. Soon after, some on our team were granted access to this new thing, LinkedIn Live, a social video platform. Our first video streamed to LinkedIn Live was a Clubhouse after show, follow-up on April 16th, 2021. We called it Social Selling and Influence on Clubhouse. Are we multi-channel? Just like the name of the Clubhouse event that preceded it. The following week, we did another Clubhouse after show based on the Clubhouse event. With so many social networks already, how do you decide if you should join the latest one? But then on Friday, April 30th, 2021, we broke from the Clubhouse after show model and had a panel discussion on LinkedIn Live. It was our review of Gartner's latest research, and we called it Elevate the Role of B2B Marketing in Account Growth, after the name of the Gartner document that we were talking about. This event was posted to Tim's YouTube channel the following week, Tuesday, May the 4th. And this is considered the first episode of the Digital Download. Now, initial shows had panelists scour the internet, well, mostly just LinkedIn, for posts that we thought were interesting. We would share the post with the audience and go around the panel discussing things we thought made them interesting. As the show evolved, we started putting themes to our shows. The content we would bring would center around a given topic. And what better way to learn about a topic than to learn from a subject matter expert? We started inviting guests to the show, and each was an expert in their given field. That's when the conversations really flourished. Today, we want to highlight some of the various things that have stood out to us. So each of us will go around and share with the audience highlights of different episodes, highlights of different topics, highlights of different guests. Your typical clip show, if you will, without the actual clips, because that took too much technical work. Anyone care to share with us some of their favorite memories?
Yeah, I'm happy to kick off with that. So it's interesting actually, because obviously we've been going for some time now, and it's hard enough to remember all the different guests that we've had on over the 3 years, let alone what they spoke about and the specific learnings. But I think it's fair to say that every single show, I certainly have learned something from someone, whether it was a topic that I was fascinated by or a topic that I became fascinated by as a result of the guest that came on. So there are a few, and I know that some of you are going to talk about some of the guests that I don't mention here. So key things for me were Orlando Mercado, who spoke about the power of data to make faster, better decisions, what's working and what isn't in the world of data. Scott Russell, who basically came on and gave an inspirational talk about entrepreneurship and how you can use the wealth that your business creates for good. I love the talk from Leah Schmidt, who came on and used her own description of herself. She said, "I'm a cross between a psychologist and a priest," talking about how to be more creative and how you can empower yourself to do stuff. And going back and watching all of these different episodes, I've revisited them and I've re-energized my excitement by what was being spoken for. But for me, the one that I enjoyed the most, and the one I think that I've actually used the most, was when we had Dr. Hazel Harrison come on. So she spoke about the fact that in order to be happy, a good starting point for that is to have a wellness and happiness model. And she uses a wellness and happiness model that was developed by a guy called Marty Sligman. It's the PERMA model for happiness and well-being. PERMA, P-E-R-M-A. P, positive emotion. Things that feel nice, such as joy, awe, love, hope, serenity. That this is something that we need to practice every day. Engagement, how we apply our attention, whether we are thinking about the present or reliving the past or thinking about the future, but being there in the moment mostly so that we can fully enjoy the experience that we're having. R, for relationships. The biggest predictor, apparently, of our long-term mental health and happiness is, do we have good relationships with people? Now, the interesting thing that she said was that we don't need loads of relationships. If you have one person that you're really close to, that's good. If you have more than one, that's good as well. But you need to have somebody that you can really rely on, somebody that you can lean on in times of trouble. M, meaning. The sense of why you get out of bed in the morning, your sense of purpose. What is it all for? Why are you doing this stuff? Why have you chosen this career? What motivates you and drives you on? And then lastly, achievement. We all need to get a sense of accomplishment. And another interesting thing that she said in her talk was that if we don't have any challenges in our lives, this often makes it quite difficult for us to be fulfilled. People that are extremely rich or extremely successful that kind of opt out of challenges and development and doing things often become deeply unhappy. They become like an adult baby, sucking on a bottle and never getting out of bed because there's nothing for them to do. So that sense of accomplishment, we all need to feel that we've done something or learned something or achieved something, if not every day, then fairly frequently. So that's something that I try to live by since she came on and explained that to us. So PERMA, P-E-R-M-A. So that's my key takeaway and the thing that I've most benefited from, I think, during the course of the show.
That was one of the episodes that really stood out to me as well. But actually, it was for something completely different.
Right.
We talk a lot about audience and community, and as the show has evolved, I believe our understanding of that has evolved as well. But even early on, to me, that showed what kind of community we have here, because during that show, we had one audience member reach out and ask for help. It was clear that there was some type of mental health crisis at play. Immediately, we had panelists and audience members responding and providing the support that they were seeking. That's not what you get when you have audience, but that's absolutely what you can hope for when you have community. I loved that episode for, of course, Dr. Hazel's presentation, but I also loved that episode for how everyone else heeded the call. That was just amazing to me.
Yeah, but one of the things, so mostly this week, I have been watching old shows. And one of the things that has been really insightful for me is the depth of ignorance that I have on so many different topics. So we've had on some people that are incredibly talented, incredibly successful, incredibly well read on these topics. Some people that are globally acknowledged experts and leaders in these topics. And watching the shows again, I have sat slack-mouthed whilst I've been soaking up the brilliance that they have imparted and the inspiration that they've given. And yeah, I mean, I think you're right. That sense of community on Hazel's show was brilliant. But there was brilliance in every single one of the shows.
Oh,
as
absolutely.
we'll hear.
Yeah.
There's also been brilliance amongst and a sense of fun from the people here on the panel. The thing that I remember is that one of the things that I wanted to share in terms of to the audience was we've never scripted this. But we've always had structure, and I've always seen whenever we've sat down, usually on a Monday or a Tuesday, and said, what are we going to do on a digital download? And we sketch something out. It's the rough outline. It's on the Friday when we actually color it in, but it's when we've had the structure that we always have a good show. Whereas we did have one where we had a script. Many of us had seen a brand, well-known brand, who will remain nameless, do one of these, and they'd scripted the whole lot. Even the panelists, and it was so. What we did was we decided to script our own one, and of course, we did.
Hold on. Do you mean what we decided to do?
Yes,
the script.
So and we deliberately did it so that there was malfunctions with the script, and Lenwood we had spelling mistakes in his, so he read out this, and we had a great piece of fun, and the audience really enjoyed it. And really, that was just our way of saying that, yeah, do we take time to actually put this together? Yes, we do, but it's not scripted, and it never has done. And if you're scripting stuff, it's just the wrong thing to do. So they were the things that I wanted to share. And as I said, it's about the audience. Whenever we've come on, it's about what can we do to educate the audience. Now, I've walked off every single one of these and gone, because we've got a number of people here that think differently to me, thankfully. And what happens is, like, I never thought, I never knew that, or I didn't. Oh yeah, I never thought about that. And I've walked off every single digital download knowing more than I do when I went in, and I hope that's the same for the audience as well.
Can I tag on to that, Tim? Because one of the things that I remember the most is when we had Sarah Milby as a guest, and we ended up talking about dragons. It became like a dragon themed show, which wasn't scripted at all, but it like came from a story, and then it just got reiterated throughout the conversation. And I think it's really interesting because there's things like that, which aren't structured, which aren't planned, that can end up being the memorable pieces for people. And if anybody's watching this show and being like, oh, I'm kind of interested in doing my own show, maybe what might I do? There's some really great beauty in that unscripted that makes you memorable, not that takes away from you being memorable. So I just wanted to share that because it was also related to your point.
Yeah.
And sometimes we get Nicholas.
That's true.
Son comes on, and that's always a memorable thing.
One episode he like flew Jupiter.
Yeah.
I don't remember what we were talking about, but I remember Jupiter.
Yeah.
One of the things that for me is so special about the digital download, what we do every week in this group, is how we're modeling something that's really important in the networked and digital economy, and that's learning by doing. Experimentation, right? Trying it and learning from what goes right and what goes wrong, and adapting to it. And I guess that's something that I've learned and matured in over the course of the last 3 years. And I think it's really important that more organizations start to embrace that type of experimentation. It's just so critically important. The other thing that has really struck me over the last 3 years is how slow people have been to adopting this new way of working. You know, one of the things that our organization focuses on is how to help people to thrive in the like digital age. Like, how is it different? How do we need to operate differently than we were operating in the past? And it's remarkable to me, you know, I think Warren Buffett, at least he's credited with having said, you know, you're a combination of the 5 people who were closest to you. I don't know if he actually said it, but he's certainly credited with having said it. And what I've learned, what I've seen in my own experience on LinkedIn is that you can get closer to people using LinkedIn, using social media, and operating to build relationships like faster than anything that you could possibly imagine. I mean, I have spoken to people and learned from people that I never would have had. Forget about having access to them. I wouldn't have even known about them if it wasn't for using this platform in a certain way. And it's just dumbfounding to me how, you know, we've been doing this for 3 years, and it's just remarkable to me how misunderstood using this platform is.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I think that's the key thing, the fact that it's misunderstood.
Yeah.
You know, everybody knows how to behave in order to forge a relationship with someone else. Everyone on the planet knows how to do that. And
I contend that may not be the case.
Most people know how to do it.
Yes.
But then we come onto this platform and so few people seem able to do it.
Yeah, it's really striking. I received an email. I received a message this morning, and the person in the message was talking about how important their network was to them, and building relationships with all the people in the network was so important to them. But it was clear to me that the message was automated. I mean, I really don't think that, well, I know that's the disconnect between an automated message and the sentiment in the message just destroys any possibility of me taking the message seriously. So anyway, that's the big learning for me. I'm thrilled to have met the people that I've met. I think the platform is awesome. I love how it's continuing to evolve. And I just hope more people use the platform and LinkedIn Live in particular to take their ecosystem, customers, partners, employees on a journey. Like, we're all going on this journey, and that journey starts with conversation. And we can just get so much closer to the people that we need to be in relationship with to create value all around us using this medium.
I want to build on 2 things that you were saying there, Linwood. The evolution and the conversation. Not only has the technology evolved and permeated, more people have higher speed internet access, more people have higher speed computers, et cetera, but what has also evolved is our expectations. It seems like expectations were, when you come on a live video broadcast, you have full studio production. You don't have sticky notes on the wall. You don't have your cat walking across your screen, et cetera, except that now that we have all been broadcasting from our homes, working from our homes, you do. You have the real world, and everyone simply accepts that. That's the evolution that I think many people have yet to embrace. And then the critical part is that conversation. It no longer matters the production quality. It matters the content quality. What are you talking about? What do you have to say? What are you hearing? Are you listening? Are you engaging? I've had so much fun learning from so many different people just because I've shown up and tried to become a part of the conversation. So I love the juxtaposition of those two things that you brought up.
Yeah, we got to be learning every day. Sorry, that's it. We got to be learning every day, and you can learn so much.
Quick question to everybody. Quick question. What exam did you pass to come on here?
Well, I had to.
You didn't.
No.
You just turned up. And you yourself, aren't you?
Yeah. It's so amazing. I don't know. I don't want to monopolize the conversation.
But I think this is an important point about conversations and live shows and things like that, is that when you have a group of people, and like we have guests weekly too, right? Different guests with different personalities, and it's just people showing up, having a conversation. And some people are experts in, like last week we talked about community. I have a community. I know more about that. The week before we talked about AI, which I know very little about, and I was very much a student. And it's not about each person showing up as an expert every day in the topic of the day, but it's about sharing your expertise when you have it and learning when you're curious. And I think these are things in the human experience that are really rewarding for people. And when you have a space where you can come and be yourself and literally be like, I know absolutely nothing about this. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly.
It's fun.
It's that curiosity that you bring that increases the value. I mean, if we have a subject matter expert on talking about AI and you have no idea, but you're really curious and you ask some good questions, it's the same kinds of questions that many in the audience wanted to hear as well. And it really facilitates the conversation.
And you're learning. If you're learning, you're growing.
I love the fact that that people are coming on the show. This is us and the guests to help and to educate and to share, not to pitch. You know, there's nothing attractive about being pitched at. There's something very attractive about sitting there and soaking up all of these ideas and these concepts that you were unaware of prior to that moment. And I love the fact that everybody that's come on has been utterly selfless and so generous with sharing their expertise and knowledge with anyone that cares to tune in. And, you know, whether we're talking about how to develop a brand, how to be more confident, how to use data, how to be an entrepreneur, how to sell, whatever it is, people have come and brought their very best ideas and put them out there for people to benefit from.
And they've done it in the chat as well, because sometimes with specific topics, we attract other subject matter experts and they share their expertise as well. And that is awesome.
And I think that the beauty of this, and Robert said, ha, 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 in quotes, experts. And I think that's a really good point. You know, he is an expert in his field. I think that one of the beauties of this is that when you are just learning something, you need to make sure that the tutor is one step ahead. The key thing is it somebody that you can relate to and you can believe and you can trust? And the beauty of a relaxed kind of format and people being generous is that you can make that determination quite quickly. You know, here's somebody that I don't like, here's somebody that I do like. That's the person that I'm drawn to. And for this part of the journey, that's therefore the right person for me to be drawn to. And I just love that this is a melting pot for all of those people and those ways of doing things to come to the fore.
Yeah, I think we're in a fortuitous position though, because before the download, before the experience that I've had with all of you, I felt like I was very much in the rat race, working hard in the hamster wheel, and I think many people feel the same way. And in the corporate world, or maybe not in the corporate world, they're just running to the next thing. And what the digital download and what DLA has helped me understand is everything that you're just talking about. There is, if you take a breath and take the time to open your mind and learn more, and be in the moment, be present. You know, I felt my own mind open up more to a lot more things as a result of doing that, and therefore feel better in myself. Therefore feel involved in conversations like this. You know, if I think back to the first download I joined, I was thinking, oh my God, what do I talk about? When shall I say something? And now
But
I think
that's a really important point, isn't it? You know, we're all breaking new paths here. And I think that for each of us, that, you know, we do regular shows of one form or another, be they audio shows or live streams like this or recorded videos. And I think all of us, if we look back at the first one we did, we'd be horrified now. You know, we go, oh my God, I can't believe that I was that bad. And actually, I think that the key thing about all of this digital world is that you have to jump in with both feet. And really interesting comment here from Amy. The never-ending "let me help you grow your audience" connection request with less followers than you pitch. Please tell me how that works. But it isn't just the "let me help you grow your audience" when I've got 4 followers. It's the "let me help you show you how to create content" when I haven't published anything for 3 years, or "let me show you how to engage with people," or "let me show you how to grow your business" when I'm having to walk to the office rather than drive to the office, or, you know, whatever the metaphor is that you choose to use. You know, I think that one of the beauties of this digital space, particularly the LinkedIn type space, is that you can absolutely see whether somebody is walking the walk or whether they've just read these concepts in a book. You know, so if you claim to be an expert at something, that should be evidenced by all of your behaviors. And it enables you to weed out the real experts and the pretenders to the throne really quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I always love the person that will teach you to be a LinkedIn expert who isn't a LinkedIn expert. I don't get how does that person make a living?
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
it's the
right
There's
now
lots
they're
of
selling-
gullible people, Tim.
Yeah.
It obviously is. It obviously is.
Yeah.
It was interesting to me. I think was it Rob or Tim that shared it? We have a group chat download behind the scenes. Had shared the article about how there were answers given by experts and answers given by Chat GPT, and like students were queried on who they thought the expert answer came from, and they thought the expert was the AI because it always had an answer, and the experts were sometimes like, I don't know. That's curious. And I always think that is one of the things I think about this show is like, that's how people show up as experts on this show, right? Like there's a new thought and then they get curious about it and you can learn and grow versus having the same answer every time. Like if you come, if you're a regular, you know this, but if you're new to the show, if you come, you're not going to hear the same thing every show. You're going to hear something different, even if it's 2 shows on community or 2 shows on AI. There's always new thoughts, new ideas, new questions. And I think Rob had asked a question about how do we change the knowledge of the masses. I think this is an activity that people need to get involved in, right? Like people have to want to come and challenge their own perspectives. And
Tracy, it's Robert.
What did I say?
Rob.
Oh,
It's Robert.
Robert. Sorry, Robert. I'm okay with being corrected because I want to get it right. Robert said, anyway, changing the knowledge of the masses. I think the masses have to want to participate, right? Because there's always places you can come. And if there are growth mindsets and people asking questions about things that make you uncomfortable, the easy thing to do is just, let's go watch cat videos on YouTube because those aren't changing my perspective. Right? Let's all head over to cat videos.
Well, you know, it's interesting because I think there's a tendency among people when something is unfamiliar to say, those people know, and I don't. And so I really don't have anything to contribute, or I really don't have anything to share. And I can remember being in corporate America and having the realization that the executives or more senior people really didn't have any answers. That they were just figuring it out. And I always had this impression like, they had the answers and I didn't have the answers, and I kind of needed to. But then once I realized that they didn't have any answers, then I realized that I could participate and offer, what I had, whatever that is, to the conversation, and maybe change a perspective, or, just by sharing, my viewpoint. So I say all that to say, we're all on a journey. Everybody's on a journey. And when we put down the mask of pretending that we know or somebody else knows, and we really just get in there and say, it's okay to not have all the answers. It's okay to, be afraid. It's okay. Those are totally normal things to be. And when we're pretending that we know and pretending we have all the answers, that pretense is the problem. And I think that's really holding so many people back from, it is like a fixed mindset, growth mindset kind of thing, like when you try it, even if you kind of fall or you kind of fail, hey, that's okay. There's another digital download next Friday.
Jensen's got a little friend. Look.
Oh, look at there.
Yeah, he's challenging the cat videos theory.
Yeah, it's dog versus cat.
I vote dogs. Just so everybody knows. But I have Lenwood, I had a similar experience, maybe a little bit flipped though, when I was in Toastmasters. So I took Toastmasters in university, my entire university career. And by the time I was graduating, there were a bunch of young people who have come in. And in Toastmasters, you do a speech and then there's an evaluation. There's always someone who gives you an evaluation. And I got to the point where people gave me evaluations like, that was great, I wouldn't do anything different. And I was like, this is not helpful. And because you are you and you're actually a more junior speaker, you have a different perspective than even a senior speaker can give me. And I want to know what you think I could do differently. And it was interesting because although I tried to create the space for people to at least know that that's how I felt about evaluations, there was still this kind of self-confidence piece that people have to bring to the table to say, you know what, maybe I don't know everything. I'm not pretending to be an expert, but I am curious. I am paying attention. I do have a different perspective. And maybe there's a question I can ask that will move the entire conversation forward. And I think there is that kind of personal decision you have to make to say, yeah, I'm going to show up and share what I know or ask questions when I don't and just participate.
Yeah, yeah. When you have that, particularly on social media, and one of the things that Adam and Tim really helped with in terms of, these guys are the innovators, right? And so they've helped all of us to develop and grow. And, it's just that putting that, the first article that I wrote, it's kind of funny. The first article that I wrote, published on LinkedIn, there were 2 likes on that article, me and my assistant.
Nice.
And it was okay. I'm still here. And 80 some articles later, many more people have read them and liked them and provided comments. So, it's just, I do think there is this element of, getting out there and not, just overcoming that fear of failure, that fear of rejection. That was something early on that was really challenging for me, that fear of rejection. Those are real things that people need to address as they're going through this journey. But it's really important to be able to address them, because how we meet people and build relationships has changed.
Yeah.
And we've got to be able to get out there, because all of this is just getting so much faster. Now we've got AI that's really, I would say I was a little more negative about AI. And then yesterday I had an AI experience that was like, oh, like this is the best thing ever. Like it transformed my thinking about AI and how AI might be able to help me. So I'm just saying, like, all this new technology, all this stuff, it's just advancing forward. And if you're not getting out there and trying something, you're getting farther and farther behind, and that's just not good.
Yeah,
I think the trying thing is the key thing here. So people become paralyzed by fear, don't they? And they think that I've never written an article before. When I write this article, everybody will leap in and tear me to pieces, and I'll be ridiculed, and I'll never be able to write another article again. But we know from experience that actually to have people read your article, that's the challenge. So the first article you write, it doesn't matter how bad it is, nobody's going to read it. Or the third, or the fifth, or the
maybe your assistant.
But like the first show you do, no one's going to come to it. So actually, it doesn't matter how bad you are, it isn't going to do any damage. And it's going through that learning, and you can practice alone in your bedroom with a microphone, but there's no substitute for actually going live and trying it. There's no substitute for connecting to somebody you don't know. There's no substitute for joining a conversation that's going on. And the only way that you get to that is by simply doing it.
Yeah.
So on that topic, Adam, I was just going to say, with the whole kind of fear of posting, I think you could look at fear in two ways. You can, and I kind of use it as an acronym that I've kind of like to coined myself, but it's not mine, right? It's, you can face everything and run, or you can actually face everything and rise. So if you write that out, it's exactly the same using the letters, but it's just it's your choice, really. It's up to you to run away from your fear, or it's up to you to rise and face it head on.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
Very great.
awesome. I think it's safe to say you did coin that. You're the first.
We're all going to give you credit for it.
Remember where you heard it first.
There we go.
The digital.
A great man once said.
So some highlights for me include when we invite guests on the show. I've had some conversations with people in my network and then thought, wow, you have a really interesting perspective. If I'm learning, the digital download regulars would enjoy learning it too. So for example, we had Isar Mendes on, and I was having a conversation with him about audience versus community. Truly, that was the first time I had thought about the difference, but definitely not the last. I really enjoyed what he had to say when he came on the show to share his insights there. And it has sparked conversations since then, even without him continuing that conversation for us. And Tracy, you mentioned Sarah Milby on the show. One of my favorite parts about having her on the show was just how at ease she became with all of us as we started talking about dragons and so on. And later in the show, somebody asked something in here, her sphere of influence, and she said, well, I'm not going to give you an answer to that. I'm not going to tell you what you should be doing or how to do it, or something to that effect. And I was able to razz her right back. Well, Sarah, that's why we brought you on the show. And, she just rolled with it, because everyone that has come on has been, just one of the family. It's just been that type of comfortable community.
Yeah.
It's a good question, Robert. It's a good question.
We've asked him.
Yeah.
We haven't actually asked him, but we should do, yes.
Robert asks, when are you going to have Elon Musk on the show? Let it right here. So
He's
Amy,
busy at the
Amy
moment,
asks,
fixing a rocket.
any tips for creative live event branding partnerships? You mean beyond just do it?
Is that not considered creative these days?
Yeah.
It's funny when I read that question, Amy, I was like, to me, creative is about like, what would you do? What seems different? What is fun? What feels engaging? And all of these different things are different for different people. And I think when we look at things on a big scale, global scale, or like 3,000 people event size scale, we start to think like, well, what would be creative for all of these people? And the thing is, there isn't one, right? There's what is creative from your brand's perspective. What is different? So I'm hosting this event coming up in June called the Human Potential in Business Summit. And it's completely different than anything that I have done before or that I've seen before. And that is based on what I have done before and what I've seen before. So it feels creative. Other people might experience it as creative. Other people might experience it as boring. I don't know. But I think there's, again, a really important piece of connecting with yourself about like, what feels creative, and also what your definition of creative is about. Like Robert here is talking about art, right? Creative without strategy is art. Art also has value, I will say, very important to me. But I don't know. I would love to hear what the other panelists say, but to me, creativity is about that kind of brainstorming. Like, what could we do?
Yeah. Well, now I want to come in on that point that, Tracy, that's a really valid point. And Robert's point here, if you can bring that up, Rob, with the pace in which business is changing, the old ways don't work. The old traditional ways don't work anymore. And I'm not just talking about sales and marketing, which we often talk about as a group. I'm talking about everything related to business. So creativity for me it's an imperative, because we're learning. We're having to learn as we do, because of the rate of change.
Yeah.
And I think one of the other things we did an episode on humor in business. And I think there's a kind of connection here, right? So if you're thinking like, okay, I want to be creative with this. Well, why? Is there a reason why you want to be creative? This is the conversation we had in the humor episode. Is that like, what's the point of using humor? Are you doing it because you think you have to? Someone thinks I have to be creative. Someone thinks I have to be humorous, and therefore I'm going to try and do it. Or is it an expression of you and your brand partnerships?
Yeah.
Isn't the other thing with a live event, whether or not that's face-to-face or virtual like this, that you have a starting point and you have a direction of travel, but you don't have a destination? Because actually, the whole point of having an unscripted show is that it unfolds based on what people in the ecosystem are saying, and because we haven't rehearsed this. You say something, Tracy, and Alex says, no, actually, I don't agree with that. And Lenwood says, no, she's right, and actually it is that debate, which is exactly the debate that people across the world are having. And anyone that plugs into this sees both sides of the conversation. And the comments that we have, in the comments, are driving the things that we talk about. And we know that we're talking about the starting point is what's happened over the last 3 years. The end point is who knows, but we know it's that direction, and we're marching proudly towards it. And I think that's the point. And it requires a certain degree of bravery to let go of the reins and just coast downhill with the stuff. But surely that's where the value is, isn't it? Nobody wants to be stuck in a sitcom that doesn't make them laugh. So change it as you go. The Simpsons would be the best example of that. Each show begins with one storyline and they exhaust that, and then they move on to a completely different storyline halfway through the show because they've run out of creative ideas for the first one. And that's what is the brilliance of that show.
So Amy, go ahead, Tim.
I was going to say, I just want to, in page 71 to go on about this book here, Eric Doyle bear with me, you'll enjoy it. What Eric Doyle says, and I think this is something that's a fundamental, should be part of any podcast or live stream. And he talks about do something unique, funitize, not monetize. We always make sure that we never pitch on when we come on and we do this. We're not ever selling. Create a digital space where professional people can relax and have fun. We have a psychological safe space where each of us can disagree with each other, but we can still remain friends. And in fact, disagreeing with each other is encouraged, because that's often the way that we learn. Create a community of support and togetherness. And that's what we've been trying to do with the audience. And many of us have connected with the people in the audience, and the audience connect with each other. And quite often we'll have a discussion going on in the audience. And the final point is what Eric says is make it all about the audience, not the presenters. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a really powerful. And if you don't have the book, it's social. Anyway, sorry.
So just to build on that a little bit, Amy, I was having a conversation with somebody over the weekend about this very thing. So my glib answer of just do it, well, probably not enough. But the other thing that I would say, and I believe it aligns with what Tim was just reading, is an event like this, a broadcast or so on, this is what I would refer to as planting season, not harvest season. If you're coming here to sell, you're going to fail. If you're coming here to share with like-minded people, an audience of whatever aligns to the branding, then you're going to have some people who raise their hand and say, yes, I want more of that, and join in and participate and grow. And that's what community does. This is not a pitch, because we realized early on, if we came on here and pitched every week, then like most podcasts that don't last 10 episodes, neither would we. So instead, we use this as an opportunity to expand our own ideas. And it's just vaguely centered around a topic or two. But mostly it's whatever is interesting to us that given week.
Yeah. So a couple of comments in the chat, Robert, to catch up with. Look,
What about the one that says I won the internet
That was too
today?
fast. I didn't have a chance to read it.
and here's Phil's launched his own podcast.
Brilliant. Well done.
Thank you, Phil, for telling us that.
I'd like to talk a little bit about this idea of creativity and the purpose of creativity, and what Robert talked about in terms of strategy versus art, right? So if you think, well, I don't want to get into that. I'll go off too far on a tangent. Here's what I'll say. In a networked economy, which is the kind of economy that we have, it's the networks are increasing, the connections are increasing, and we're only going to have more of it. Relationships are absolutely critical. And the creativity is about differentiation. Being creative helps you to differentiate. And if you want to take this from a business perspective, what you need to do is bring your customers and your partners and your employees through a journey that begins with a conversation and ends with them feeling closer to you and enabled by you. And community is like halfway in between. And when we're building a community, we're actually not thinking about the people who are participating as an audience. The participation is what makes it a community. So, I think there's like a misunderstanding, I will say generally, about what engagement is all about. And, that's why you see so many people come onto LinkedIn and they want to monetize an interaction, but it's not about the interaction. It's about starting with a conversation and moving the partner, customer, employee from conversation to participation to enablement. That is those are three different levels of engagement. And when we're partnered with someone, when we're making something with someone, that's as close as we can get. That we're going to be building trust, we're going to be doing something together, and we're going to feel better about each other after we've created that thing.
But surely going viral is going to make us millionaires, right?
Surely.
So my favorite guests were Brent Adamson. I mean,
Oh
That was
yeah.
a good one.
going back to what Adam said about selflessness, you know, he said, he came on and said, you can ask me anything about Challenger, you can ask me about anything about what I'm doing now, you can ask me anything about the research we did at CEB or Gartner, and we went into a lot of detail, and we could have stayed on there for more than an hour. I mean, we ran, in the end we ran out of time. Simon Kemp.
Yeah, Simon was awesome.
So Simon, if you don't know, if for the audience, Simon creates this research. It's become the research on social media. If you don't follow him on LinkedIn, you should do. And he comes out every quarter and he dissects all the different bits of data and comes up with insights and conclusions. He came on and he talked about all kinds of different things that are going on, like the difference between search and the difference between discovery, because he'd recently come out with some research that shows that now most people under the age of 30 use social media to search rather than actually go into search engines. And this was actually before all of the stuff about ChatGPT. So, you know, he was a guest of mine. And the final one was 11 months ago. Patrick Joyner joined us from the Institute of Sales Professionals, where we launched a certificate that we got from the Institute of Sales Professionals. So those are the three highlights for me. Plus, we joined a special club. It was last week, wasn't it? We joined a special club, which was we got trolled.
Yes.
That's right.
I wrote that down, actually. I mean, if you're going to put yourself out there, eventually you're going to get trolled, right?
Well, yeah, you know, we may not have gone viral, but we did get trolled, so that's a tick, isn't it?
Yeah. That Simon Kemp episode where he talked about discovery, that was a significant aha moment, because when you're active on social media, you're going to discover a lot of things. And I think that if more executives understood the discovery that happens on social media, they would encourage a lot more, because that's one of the things that Steve Jobs talked about in terms of why they created the Office and why they put things together, because they wanted people to bump into each other and have conversations and discover something.
For those that may not have heard it, so when we use search, what we do is that we go to search for an answer. So it is, give me the top 10 Italian restaurants in London. And the problem is that what happens is that we quite often go to search and it gives us the wrong answer. So if you go to search, go to Google and say, give me the top 10 CRM systems, it doesn't actually give you an answer because everybody buys that search. But what we do is that we go to social media without necessarily understanding the question that we want to ask. In fact, and that's where we're doing the discovery.
All right, we are at the top of the hour.
You go, Rob. So
I wanted to thank everyone again for being active participants. Thank you to our audience. Thank you to the panelists. Thank you for 3 great seasons. Let's continue this process. This has been fabulous. Until next week, everyone.
Happy birthday, everybody.